Hello everyone, thanks for tuning into the 9th and penultimate Autumn 2021 update from GavsWeatherVids. So here we go, we've been doing autumn updates every week since the beginning of June, or virtually every week since the beginning of June. We're virtually at the end of the updates now. We've just got this one to deliver for you and then one more next week, and then that's going to be it. Autumn forecast in a couple of weeks' time, and then that's it for our autumn update / forecast. So we're nearly at the end of the journey now, but we have got this update and one more to do for you next week, and I shall get on with the 9th autumn 2021 update in a second. Just say about the first video release today was our 7 AM podcast. We've got GavsWeatherVids Sunny Rounder coming up for you later on. That will include all the features, of course, and I'll be live streaming from 6 o'clock. It's a sunny live stream, so we're going to do some long range. We'll be showing you some Beijing Climate Centre and CFS data in our live stream. As I say, that's going to be coming up for you later on from 6 PM. So I shall see you live then, but let's get on with the 9th autumn update. Thank you so much to Rich for the amazing GIF. I love the autumn updates GIF. You're only going to see this once more next week, and then that's going to be it for the GIF. But thank you so much to Rich for the amazing and incredible GavsWeatherVids Autumn 2021 updates GIF, and also thank you so much to Shrine as well, my good friend Shrine Brim, for getting all of the years together for us. We're doing an ENSO special for this one, and Shrine's worked very hard to get this together, so thank you so much to Shrine and also to Rich for all of the help on the update. As I say, this 9th update is going to be an ENSO special, so this is a big old update here for the penultimate update for autumn 2021, and let's do it then, shall we? So this is how sea surface temperature anomalies are currently looking in the equatorial Pacific Ocean. Of course, ENSO is like the cyclical warming and cooling of the equatorial Pacific Ocean from Peru over towards Indonesia. So we've got Peru there, Indonesia is just there, and you can see that colder than average sea surface temperature anomalies are emerging here through the central part of the equatorial Pacific Ocean. This signature for La Niña is returning and is coming back. It looks like we could well be moving into a La Niña for this autumn. So this is the ENSO Region 3.4 ENSO forecast from CFSV2. We've got our monthly periods on the bottom and temperature anomalies, sea surface temperature anomalies along the side. So where we currently are, of course, is around here. So we're somewhere, somewhere close to ENSO threshold. That's half a degree below average. The black dashed line, which if you're on mean, is moving down into La Niña threshold, albeit weak La Niña threshold, over the next few weeks and the next couple of months. So look, the CFS is forecasting like a weak La Niña to re-emerge through this autumn, and that is in line with many other models as well. So I think there are two possibilities for this. I'll put webcam back up. There are two possibilities, I think, for this autumn. We can take El Nino off the table. That's not going to happen. There's absolutely no chance of an El Nino, this autumn and winter 2021-22. So that's off the table. The two possibilities are either a weak La Nina, I think, because we're too far on, to get a strong La Nina going. It's too late in the year. So I think a weak La Nina is like the most likely possibility, which would be a double La Nina, because we had a La Nina last winter in 2020-2021. So back-to-back La Ninas, or just ENSO neutral on the cool side of ENSO neutral, really. But ENSO neutral or weak La Nina, I think, are the two possibilities, the two scenarios for this autumn and going on into the winter. So the first set of analogues that we're going to look at, so we're going to be looking at two sets of analogues for this. We're going to be looking at back-to-back La Nina autumns, and then also ENSO neutral autumns after a La Nina, so La Nina to ENSO neutral, if you like. But the most likely scenario, I think, is we have another La Nina, albeit a weak one, and so that's where we're going to start with this update. So our first autumn, that is a back back-to-back La Nina autumn is 1875. So what happens with this? Let's just explain what we're talking about by back-to-back. So what happens with this is that we would have had a La Nina for the autumn and winter of 1874, 1875. It would have faded probably to ENSO Neutral during the spring and into early summer of 1875, and then, not necessarily, but most times it will fade back to ENSO Neutral, and then another La Nina would have developed, you know, through the summer and into the autumn of 1875 and carrying on into winter of 1875, 1876. So it's like a double La Nina event, two consecutive years running. Okay, so the first autumn is 1875. This one looks quite cold with northern blocking around Greenland and Iceland and low pressure to our south. That drives in easterly winds, so looking quite wet and also potentially quite cold for the autumn of 1875 with winds in from an east or a northeasterly direction. Probably not overly cold with that in September, but if that emerges in November, that pattern, then you are going to be looking at a very cold month potentially. The next back-to-back autumn, that is La Nina autumn, is 1879. This is within a very, very cold year. So this one has a mid-Atlantic ridge going up towards Greenland, and we bring in the winds from a northeasterly or northerly direction. It's the last time we had a sub-8 CT year was in 1879. That's the last time it was in the 7s for a yearly CT. So it's a very, very, very cold year. Overall, there's a severe winter for 1878, 1879. The spring of 1879 was very cold. The summer was very, very poor and cool summer, and then we have a cold autumn. It's just like a continuation of what is a very cold year in 1879. Our next back-to-back La Nina autumn is 1893. And this one also looking quite cold, actually, with the mid-Atlantic ridge heading up towards southern Greenland, Chartford below, average heights to our east and south. And again, you could envisage quite a northerly autumn is likely there with winds in from the north. Our next, quite a big gap then, to our next back-to-back La Nina autumn, which is 1916. This is before a very cold winter, of course, for 1916, 1917, but the autumn of 1916 doesn't really sort of indicate anything particularly cold coming for winter. Not much of a northern blocking signal then. Just looks very wet and very unsettled, really, with low pressure in off the Atlantic. So that's a cool and wet autumn in 1916, but not overly cold. Then a very long gap. The next time we have a back-to-back La Nina is in 1955. Wow, so long ago. So the autumn of 1955 is dry and just anticyclonic, really. So it's an extended summer. We have a hot summer in 1955, and it begins early in the spring, and it's still going on in September and October as well. So it's like the autumn of 1959 is just like a continuation of the summer, really, till November, when it does get much more unsettled. Overall, this is a dry and warm autumn in 1955. Another pretty long gap then through to 1974. This is a cold and wet autumn with deep low pressure across northern and western Europe and high pressure pulled out into the middle of the Atlantic. And that again leads us to bring in a northerly wind. So very, very wet and quite cool, I think, for the autumn of 1974. It is followed by an exceptionally mild winter, however. And then we have another long gap. The next time we have a back-to-back La Nina autumn is in 1999. So we have the first La Nina of the late 1990s is in 90. Let's get it right. 98, 99, and then the next one is like 99, 2000. And so the autumn of 1999 has a Scandinavian high. So it's quite an anticyclonic autumn, a lot of dry weather, and pretty warm as well. This is a warm autumn, especially so in September. Has a very, very warm September in 1999. I think at that point it's our hottest September since 1949. So hottest September for like 50 years in 1999. Of course, it would be superseded by Septembers in the years afterwards. But nevertheless, very warm September. quite a wet second half of September as well. Otherwise, the rest of the autumn is relatively dry and just quite mild and nondescript. Our next back-to-back La Niña autumn is 2008. This was more interesting from a cold perspective, with a mid-Atlantic ridge and a trough of below average heights to our east and north, and winds are in from a northwesterly to northerly direction. This is a cooler, or not a particularly cold autumn, but it is a cooler autumn compared to most of the autumns within the era. And it does have snow at the end of October, so that's very unusual, very rare to get snow across lowland southern England at the end of October. There's a snow event then, and November has regular cold snaps, and even September 2008 is quite a lot cooler compared to the Septembers that sort of precede it. Through the earlier part of the 2000s. So definitely a cooler feel for the autumn of 2008, because it's setting up what will be the first run of a series of cold winters, the 08-09. And then the next back-to-back La Niña autumn is 2011. This is much warmer. This is a much warmer autumn with high pressure sitting to our east and south. Low pressure is away to the northwest, and we bring up the wind from a southerly direction. So that's a significantly warmer autumn to 2008. Again, a lot of dry weather in that autumn of 2011, but substantially warmer. And this is marginal because it follows the autumn-winter of 2016-17, which barely scraped La Niña status, but I thought it was worth including it anyway. You know, this is the autumn of 2017. This is the last time we have what could be considered as a back-to-back La Niña autumn, although 2011 is probably the last time really happened, but, you know, 2016-17, 2017-18 kind of is roundabout there. So this is the autumn of 2017, again, above average heights to our west and northwest, and lower pressure to our east. This is a rather cooler autumn as well, quite a cool, unsettled September, quite a cool, wet September. November has regular cold snaps. There is a warm October in between that has the remnants of, because it's a big hurricane season in 2017, so October 2017 has a remnants of several storms that have remains of hurricanes may bring warm air northwards, including, of course, Hurricane Ophelia, when you know, we have the remnants of that, and the sky turned Martian red. I'm sure everybody remembers that incredible sight in 2017. Right, so let's start putting all of that together then, shall we? So this is how all Septembers combined are looking following or during back-to-back La Niña autumns. And it's a wet and cool signal for September. What about that? We usually think of September being quite a warm, dryish extension of summer, especially in the modern era. But this, you know, back-to-back La Niñas indicates quite a wet September possible, with low pressure in off the Atlantic. So a cool, wet September starts us off. October also looks quite cool, not as unsettled, but trough of low pressure gets pushed eastwards with ridge of high pressure in the Atlantic. So it's not as unsettled for October, but it is still quite cool with winds in from the north. And then all November's combined, showing the driest signal, but potentially the coldest signal as well, because we've got higher pressure towards Iceland with this, which would lead us a lot of time to be bringing in wind from the east. In November, easterlies are going to be pretty cold. There's lots of low pressure to our south as well, so a dry but cold signal for the Novembers. Overall, it does look like quite cold autumns are favoured here when we have a back-to-back La Niña. And this is how the overall autumn analogue is looking with back-to-back La Niñas. And again, we have a mid-Atlantic ridge which goes up towards southern Greenland with the below average heights across northwest Europe, and that pulls in winds from the northeast. Let's narrow things down to just look at the years after 1950. So this is how all Septembers combined are looking with back-to-back La Niñas post-1950. Makes very little difference actually for September, maybe a bit surprisingly so, given we have got some warmer Septembers in there. But nevertheless, overall, quite a wet and unsettled signal for these Septembers with low pressure in off the Atlantic. So whether it's the full set or post 950, September looks like it's favoured to be quite a cool, wettish sort of month. All Octobers combined with back-to-back La Niñas look like that. Again, not much difference. Mid-Atlantic ridge, maybe not quite going as far north as the full set, but nevertheless, got a ridge of high pressure in the Atlantic, low pressure is to our east, so a lot of the time we're at very least going to be bringing in wind from the northwest, which will be quite a cool wind direction in October. Not as wet, not as unsettled in October as it is in September. And then this is how all Novembers combined are looking post 1950. Still anticyclonic, but maybe not as much of an easterly influence. So I think out of the three, November is the month, but probably gets milder. Not as much cold potential with the Novembers after 1950, although under high pressure, of course, it's not going to be warm in November. In fact, you could get quite a bit of frost in that, but not as much of an easterly influence as we see within the full set. And then this is how all autumns combined look following back-to-back or during back-to-back La Niñas post-1950. Quite an interesting analogue with above average heights, high pressure to our west, below average heights to our east and northeast, and again winds are coming in from a northwesterly direction. Obviously the most unsettled month is still to be September, the driest month is still to be November, the most, the month that's in between is October. In terms of temperature, September and October could both be rather cool, November probably mild, but there could be frost and thaw. Right, so that's the first set done. We'll be back in a second and we'll go through Niña to Neutral. Niña to ENSO Neutral autumns. That will be coming up for you in around 2 seconds times. You go and get yourself a cup of tea and, sit in a comfy chair, have a stretch your legs, whatever you want to do. And I shall see you back in around 2 seconds time. Okay, we're back. We're ready to resume the 9th Autumn 2021 update from GavsWeatherVids. So in the first part of the video, we were looking at back-to-back La Niña autumns. We're going to now move on and look, because we think we're going to have another La Niña, but not absolutely certain whether we will quite reach La Niña threshold. I think we will, but not completely 100% sure about it. So the other possibility is that we just have an ENSO Neutral autumn, on the cool side of ENSO Neutral, yes, but an ENSO Neutral autumn, following last year's La Niña. And so we're going to be looking next at autumns that are going from Niña to Neutral. We'll leave a webcam on, why not? So here we go then. Our first autumn that is going from La Niña to ENSO Neutral. So just to explain this again, we would have had the La Niña in the winter of autumn winter of 1969, 1869, 1870, and then that would have faded to ENSO Neutral during the spring, summer, and on into the autumn of 1870. So we go Niña to Neutral, and it's the autumn of 1870, the first one that's doing this. Looks very, very unsettled this autumn with low pressure in off the Atlantic. There is a northern blocking signal, but it's not in much of a position to do all that much for us. We're just bringing in low pressure from off the Atlantic, looking wet and probably reasonably mild in the autumn of 1870. Let's start shutting down some of these tabs. Right, so we go through to our next autumn, which is 1873. Again, going from La Niña to ENSO Neutral. This one has a little bit more cold potential with above average heights, again, out to our north and northwest, below average heights to our east and northeast, and that leads us to bring in the wind from a northeasterly direction with that one. So that could be rather colder and wetter in the autumn of 1873. And next Niña to Neutral autumn is 1894. This preceding a severely cold winter, of course. This is mainly dry this autumn. Looks like quite an easterly autumn. So I think it's quite a quiet autumn. A lot of dry weather is within there. And probably a little bit on the cold side as well. And he's setting up a severely cold winter in 1894, 1895. A long gap then. The next time we have our next La Niña Niña to ENSO Neutral autumn is 1921. This is a warm and dry autumn with high pressure centre right over top of the UK and Western Europe as well. Our next Niña to neutral autumn is 1925. This one with high pressure away to our northwest, low pressure is to our east and northeast. Again, we're bringing winds from a northeast direction. This is a colder, wetter autumn, I think, in 1925. Our next autumn is going to be 1934. This one has low pressure around Iceland, high pressure to our west-southwest. Winds in from west. It looks like a classic sort of westerly autumn, that quite mild and unsettled. We've got 1939. This is marginal because this is actually, although I think the autumn, very strange scenario, I think although the autumn of 1939 is ENSO neutral, I think by the winter of 39-40 we get a very, very late starting weak Modoki or Modokai El Nino. So it's marginal whether this should be included, but I thought why not? This is the autumn of 1939. This is a dry autumn with high pressure around Iceland and low pressure to our south and winds in from an easterly direction. It's setting up again a severely cold winter for 1939 at 1940. As it is, the actual autumn itself is relatively dry. It does have an exceptionally mild November as well in 1939. Two back-to-back exceptionally mild Novembers, 1938, 1939. Wow. Our next Niña to neutral autumn is 1943. This is just a rather mild and unsettled autumn with lots of low pressure across Western Europe. Our next autumn is 1956. This follows on, of course, a washout summer, one of the worst summers of the 20th century. And the autumn is actually relatively quiet, reasonably mild, and pretty dry in 1956. Our next Niña to neutral autumn is 1989, and this is another dry and mild autumn, actually, with high pressure across western parts of Europe. Again, a little bit marginal whether that should be included because the La Niña of 1988-1989 was much stronger than the La Niña just gone. And we've got the autumn of 1996, so this is a rather cold and unsettled autumn. It has a dry and mild September, though. Dry and warm September. October 1996 is quite mild, but a little bit more unsettled. And then November gets cold. There are several snow events in November 1996, setting up an early cold winter for 96-97. Overall, quite a cold and unsettled signal, and particularly so in November. The next autumn that's going from La Niña to ENSO neutral is 2001. This one, again, quite a high-pressure dominated autumn, although it does have a wet and very warm October, but September 2001 is quite cool and reasonably dry, and then I think there's a cool and dry November as well. Quite a strange autumn, that one. And then we've got 2012 shows up next as our next Niña to neutral autumn. This one with a mid-Atlantic ridge heading up towards Greenland and below average heights, low pressure across northern and western Europe. So it's a cold and wet autumn. Of course, following a cold or a cool and wet summer, have a cold and wet autumn, and then we're going to have a cold winter for 2012-2013. Wow, wow, wow. Okay, let's start bringing all that together. So this is how all Septembers combined are looking when we're going from La Niña to ENSO neutral. So we quite a big difference actually compared to the back-to-back La Niñas for September, because we get high pressure centred to the north and west of the country, low pressure to our south. It's relatively coolest signal for these Septembers, but a lot drier. Quite a dry signal for the Septembers, but potentially quite cool. All Octobers combined, going from La Niña to ENSO neutral, with above average heights to our west, below average heights to our east. That means we pull in the wind from like a northwesterly direction. So again, quite cool and a reasonably dry signal for a lot of those Octobers. And then all Novembers combined, going from La Niña to ENSO neutral look like that. Again, we have high pressure away to our west, northwest, low pressure to our south. So quite an anticyclonic signal for these autumns, I think, but always a little bit on the cool side, not a particularly warm signal with this due to the position of the anticyclone. And all autumns combined following or going from La Niña to ENSO neutral look like that. So it is an anticyclonic signal, but with the high pressure pulled out to our west, probably quite a coolish signal with the wind tending to be in from at least a northwesterly, if not a northerly direction on a lot of occasions. Just narrowing things down to look at the years after 1950. This is how all Septembers combined look when we are doing La Niña to ENSO Neutral post 1950. It is still an anticyclonic signal, but the anticyclone is still centred just to our west and northwest, and around the anticyclone we still bring in wind from an east or northeast direction, so reasonably dry, but quite a coolish signal for those Septembers. All Octobers combined, a little bit different. It's a warmer signal for the Octobers. We have the above average heights more centred to our south, which means it's all a lot flatter, bringing winds from the west or southwest. And so it's still a reasonably dry signal for those Octobers, but they are a little bit warmer. And then all Novembers combined, not much difference really. Still the above average heights to our west, still below average heights to our northeast. You still think we're bringing in wind from the northwest a lot of the time, so quite cool for those Novembers, but pretty dry as the Atlantic is blocked off. And then finally, this is how all autumns combined are looking when we're going from La Niña to ENSO Neutral in the autumn. We look like that. Above average heights over and to the west of the country. It's a dry signal for these autumns. But a little on the cool side, and that's the case, you know, whether it's back-to-back La Niña autumns or La Niña to ENSO Neutral. You know, it is quite a dry set for both sets, and also reasonably cool as well. Actually, just September that's much more unsettled with the first back-to-back La Niña set compared to this set. But there are similarities, I think, you know, between both sets, and that's quite interesting. Right, so that's it for the 9th Autumn 2021 update. Wow, that's the penultimate update done. Just got one more update to do for you next week, and then in 2 weeks' time we'll be releasing the autumn forecast. Going to try and do some August data for you next week. So I've got my good friend Simon, aka Global Warming at the Weather Outlook Forum, on standby for the CT. We might be able to do something precipitation-wise. I'm not sure if we will or not. I'll have to have a chat with Shrine. I'm sure that will come as a bit of a surprise to Shrine. But no, we'll try and do some August data for you next week. It will all be projections because we're going to be well short of the month with this. So we'll only be projecting where we think we're going to land up with August, certainly in terms of the CET. And that's coming up next week. And then after that, we are done with our updates. We've got one more season one around it to do, however, which will be on Saturday the 28th, I think. And then we'll be releasing our autumn forecast on Sunday the 29th, which is just 2 weeks away. Gosh, who would have thought that? And then, when that's that way, you know what comes after that, don't you? I'll say no more. Right, you enjoy the rest of your Sunday, but we will be back with a Sunday roundup, so, you know, check that out if you happen to be around the channel. And we'll be live streaming at 6 o'clock. It's a Sunday live stream, so we've got to do some long range. And we'll show some CFS and Beijing Climate Centre data in our live stream coming up later on at 6 p.m. For the 9th Autumn 2021 update, that's all for now, and thanks for watching.